Now, the National Prosecuting Authority says 7 more people accused of gang rape of 8 women in West Village, west of Johannesburg, will appear before the Krugersdorp Magistrate's court today. 7 accused appeared before court yesterday, facing multiple counts of rape, aggravated robbery, and contravening the Immigration Act. The 8 women were part of a crew. They were filming a music video when they were gang raped in West Village. We're joined now in our studio by Hasina Gori, who's done exceptionally amazingly well covering this story. Hasina, just before we talk about the events of today, what were your takeaways from the past few days covering this story?
I think from the time the story broke, what really has been highlighted is firstly, gender-based violence issues. That's a huge concern in the country, but also just all the layers of the story. Every time, every day as you went and spoke to people, there was more and more layers. It's the issue of immigration, the issue of how does a 9-year-old with no passport end up in this country, working in a mine. It's also the mining sector as a whole. Who's responsible for those mines? I think there's so many layers and so many questions that we have unanswered at this point, and this tragic incident has brought a spotlight on this, and we've heard from the people on the ground, and it's a common theme of issues that they're facing with regards to the criminality, with regards to those illegal miners that they believe are responsible, but also people that said they worked on those mines just 2 or 3 years ago, and now it's home to illegal miners who are getting money and basically sustenance from what they were doing, and now there's no accountability from who was owning it. So it's been interesting to speak with the people on the ground, but also just understanding that the story is not as straightforward and linear as we may have first thought it was.
But also the events you're talking about overshadowed the tragic occurrence, the rape of the 8 women, and now eventually we have people being charged with the rape, whereas for quite a while people were just being charged with contravening the Immigration Act.
I think yesterday there was quite a very interesting point, and it's the suspense waiting till at least 2 o'clock to find out whether or not anyone was linked. We've been waiting almost 2 weeks. They've been coming to court. We're told an ID parade was meant to happen. When we spoke on Women's Day to police, they were still saying at that point there was no update, that they can't confirm whether or not an ID parade was done, whether DNA tests were concluded. It was really, I think, a relief for those that were outside court. I think what's been interesting also is the way we handle this case. While it may have shifted away from the females, there's also been a lot of respect to those victims and their families during this time, that they haven't been forced into a spotlight and allowed the space to grieve. So I think the community support, though, has been for them that relief, that at least someone is being charged, at least suspects were found, and that we can see justice now play out in the courtrooms where it's needed to be taking place.
Why were the accused separated? 7 appeared yesterday and more appearing today. How many are appearing today?
So 7 as well today. It's according to the NPA, they were linked after that ID parade, that the state prosecutor felt that there was sufficient evidence to now link at least these 14 for now to the case. From what I'm understanding is that the 7 that came yesterday were part of that group of 81 that were arrested. The ones that are now appearing today were arrested on a separate occasion, it seems, because they had a separate matter that was at the Randfontein Magistrate's Court. It's now going to be all moved to the Krugersdorp Magistrate's Court. They were meant to face just the contravention of the Immigration Act for being in the country illegally. So it seems that they were arrested on 2 separate occasions. We're waiting for clarity from the NPA today after they appear to find out. Also to note, there was 2 minors yesterday in that group of 7. There is some dispute on the age of the one. He says he's 15. The state says he's 18, and an age assessment will be done on accused number 6 today. I'm told that there may be a minor also today in this group. So
because we're talking of a story about minors. Minor this time means somebody who's underage.
Yes, juvenile, and it's important for the case itself, because how that accused would be charged and handled will depend on his age. If he is younger, then he will go to the child court and not be tried as an adult. So I think that's very important for them to ascertain right now at this point.
Is there a sense now that the investigative process is working efficiently and they can bring up a watertight case as they bring up these people who are accused
I feel
of
that
rape?
the NPA feels that they have, prima facie case at this point, but we'll have to see as this matter proceeds. We don't know yet, even if the DNA has been concluded. We know there's a backlog as a whole nationally. Police Minister has, given his assurances that they're going to, prioritize this. So it'll be interesting to see what actual evidence they have once they bring that matter into a trial, to take these 14 accused and link them to this rape.
As you said in the beginning, we're dealing with one case, the rape case, but it's brought up a myriad of other societal issues that either need to be discussed or dealt with by government. As a journalist, as you walk away from the story, what are your sense of South Africa's chances of decisively dealing with the Zamazama issue?
I think for it to be decisively dealt with, it has to start with all government parties and entities taking a stance to first accountability, whether it's with the police, whether it's with Home Affairs, whether it's with the mining sector. Each one needs to take their responsibility for their part that they play in this entire process. The blame game enough is not going to help. Each one needs to come in and figure out what rules and policies they need to change, from the Mining and Minerals Resources Ministry all the way down to policing as well as immigrations, because police have conceded in these areas that local police don't have the talent or the enough resources to deal with going down underground.
Such a complex issue.
So we need more resources on the ground for local police who seem to be, according to communities, in cohorts with these, but also going into, as the police have said, to go to the kingpins as well, because just loading up the Zamazamas and putting them back and deporting them has not helped. They seem to be a well-run syndicate that just brings in more of them, more resources after police raid. So there needs to be more done here.
Hasina, thank you so much for bringing the story to the fore in a brilliant way. Thank you so much, and for just setting the stage for that court process that begins, well, it began yesterday, but today 7 more suspects appearing in court.